Good afternoon. Today I will learn determinations of demand. Okay, determinations of law आपण नेक्स्ट लेक्चरला पाहिलं होतं. तर हा जो लॉ जो आहे तर लॉ ऑफ डिमांड्स इज द मोस्ट बेसिक लॉ दॅट एक्सप्लेन्स द रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन प्राइस ऑफ कमोडिटी अँड इट्स डिमांड्स. तर आपण याच्यामध्ये पाहणार चेंज इन द डिमांड कर्व त्या ठिकाणी कसा हे होत गेला ते पण आपण अगोदरच्या लेक्चरला त्या ठिकाणी बघितलं होतं. The discussion so far in this unit is concentrated on the relationship between demand and price along with the multiple factors like income, etc. आता figure 3.1 मध्ये demand curve D shows different qualities of cold drinks bottle that will be brought at different price, keeping various other factors consistent. And demand curve need not be statistics over time. Among the demand curve is considered assuming that all other things remain constant. That therefore, if any other factor change, the demand curve shifts rightwards or leftwards, which is referred to as shift to the demand curve. There's two types of the change in the demand curve. One is movement along the demand curve. Quality demands moves upwards or to downwards, and second is shift in the demand curve either towards right or left. Next point, moment along the demand curve. The moment along the demand curve occurs that when quality demands of and commodity changes due to change in the price, keeping all other factors considered. There is an important distinction between shift in the demand curve and movement along the demand curve. When demand change due to change in price with other factors consistent, then demand curve moves along the same curve either in upward or downwards direction. In this figure, demand curve, one is price and demand. Shift in the demand curve means as against the movement along the demand curve, we can see shift in the demand curve as show figure 3.6. Whenever quality demands of any commodity changes with the change in any factors other than price, then demand curves shifts either to the left or right. These factors are change in the taste and preference, income, price of related goods, etc. When quality demand increase at any given price due to any factor, demand curve shifting to right. Similarly, when the demand falls due any factor other then price demand curve shifts to left. Thus, rightward shift shows increase in the demand and leftward shift shows increase in the demand. Example, if the commodity to is apple and as per recent World Health Organization's report, those who eat apple have higher life expectancy as compared to those who do not eat it, then health conscious people immediately increase their consumptions without our price change. Such a change indicated those shift in the demand curve. Figure 3.2. सिक्स 3.6 मध्ये शिफ्ट इन द डिमांड कर्व शो केलेला आहे. View of the keyword concept, law of demand. Law of demand means quality define the inventory related to price keeping other things consumption. Total utility means is the total satisfaction derived from the consumptions of all units. Marginally unit means the increase in the total utility from the consumptions of one additional unit of the commodity. Okay. The law is dissemination margin utility with the increase in the consumptions of any commodity. Total utility derived from that commodity goes and increasing but at a diminishing rate. The moment along the demand curve occurs when quality demand of any commodity changes due to change in the price, keeping on other factors consideration. Shift in the demand curve means when demand change due to change in non-price determinants like income, price of retailed goods, taste and preference, etc. And the curve shifts either towards right or left. Okay, in general, the unmarket demand curve means demand curve as given figure 3.1. The individual demand curve as that relates the quality of goods that a single consumer will buy to the price of that good to analysis how market works. We need to determine the market demand that means sum total of all individual demands for a particular goods or services. Individual to market demand curve हे पण नेक्स्ट आधीच्या लेक्चरला आपण त्या ठिकाणी पाहिलं होतं. ओके. Next demand curve elasticity of demand. A manager is most concerned about the sale of the final product in the market, which is the total sales and the engineering revenue generated that influence the fate of any firm. Any variation in these sales are closely understood and watched by a manager. The answer that every manager wants to find out how much is the market demand going to change if the price change. In other words, a manager is looking for the responsiveness of the qualities demand to the change in price. However, till now we have studied about the law of demand, which simply says that price and demand are universal related means as we increase price, demand increase and vice versa. But this knowledge of the relationship of demand and price is not enough to understand how market demand responds to the price change, which implies till now we were doing only qualitative study where we were trying to understand the direction of change in demand with respect to change in price. Whether quality demand will move in upward direction or in downwards direction, or whether demand will expand, contract. However, a manager must needs to understand the magnitude of that change. How much responsive sensitive the demand is to the change in price. The qualitative study implies finding out if we change price by 5%, then demand will change either by 10% or 5% or remains constant. In order to answer this, we'll study concept of elasticity of demand. Okay. But related to this, we'll study the following: price elastics, income elastics, and cross elastics. Price elastics means of demand measure of percentage change in quality demand to the change in price that implies the responsibilities of the quality demand of the price. If we change price, say 5 or 5, 10, 15, then percent, how much does the quality demand change? First, elastic is of price elastics, percentage change in quality demand, uh, public percentage change in price. Okay, this is a formula change in price. So answer is okay. The quality demand 30, 28, 22, 18, 10, 5 or percentage method 2.06, 2.43, 43, 0.45, 55, 1.78. Okay, degrees of elastics means elastics of demand varies between 2, 0 and 1. As mentioned above, different goods have different sensitivity to price. Some product demand is very sensitive to price while other products demand is less sensitive. So on the basic on the extent to which the demand change a product can have, elastic demand, intelistic demand, utility class elastic demand, and perfectly elastic demand. Okay. Total expenditure method means a useful indicator to measure the strength of price elastics of demand is to calculate whether total expenditure on the commodity has risen or fallen after the price change. Note that the expenditure made by a consumer on the commodity is equal to the revenue received by the confirm or selling the commodity and total revenue expenditure of a firm consumer in price multiple by quality shown demanded. Recent recall the definitions of market demand curve, which is the horizontal simulations of annual demand curve. Therefore, for a firm, whatever is the total amount spent by the consumer on goods is collected as total revenue. The direction of change in the total revenue in an indicator or elasticator of demand. This method shows that the direction of the change in the total expenditure of the consumer due to the price change provides and indicators of the price elasticity. Okay. In this table, the relation between total expenditure of consumer price change and price elasticities of demand can be understood clearly from table 3.4. Okay. Fact affecting price elasticity demands. The price elastics of demand helps a manager in understanding how much a consumer will move away from the good when its price rise. The price elastics of a commodity depends various factors including economics and psychological factors. Following are important considerations that affect the price elastics of demand. Availability of close substitutions. A commodity that has more number of substituents has less demand as compared to good with less or no substituents. For example, the Pepsi, Thumbs Up, and Coca-Cola are close substituents of each other. When the price of one soft drink increases, consumers immediately shift their demand to its substituents. Compare it with petrol, with no suitable available, and with less elastic demand. However, if there are substituents available, then the elasticity can change public transport. Okay, promotion of the income spent on the commodity means when a consumer spend high proportion of income on any commodity, then its elastic would be very high. Example, India middle classes families spend a very low promotion of their income of goods like matchbox, sugar, tea, soap, etc. Number of use of the commodity means if a commodity has many use, then the its price elastic is high as on rise in price, we curtail it is on our less important purpose. For example, we can make use of milk in making butter, ghee, curd, sweet, etc. But when it price increase, we postpone all our necessary uses can use only for urgent and necessary consumptions. Nature of the commodity means the nature or the demand of essentially goods is perfectly elastic, while that of luxury goods is goods relatively exactly. Time period under considerations when the price of any commodity change, the consumer do not change the demand immediately. That is, in the short run, consumer do not make any changes in the demand. However, in long run, consumer can change and adjust the purchase in response to price changing. For example, on increasing the price of control, consumer do not immediately stop its purchase, but gradually over a period of time, one can switch to more fuel efficient cars, switch to public transport, or go for carpooling. Income elastic demands of demand measures the change in equality demand due to change in consumer income. It shows the degree of response of quality demand of goods to a change income of consumer. More precisely, income elastics of demand may be defined as the ratio of promoted change in quality demand of a good to the promoted change income. Income elastically equal promotion change in equality demanded divided by promotion change in income. ओके. तर अशा प्रकारे हा फॉर्म्युला यूज करून इन्कम इलेस्टिक ही जी प्राइस आहे ते त्या ठिकाणी काढली जाते. क्रॉस प्राइस इलेस्टिक्स ऑफ डिमांड याच्यासाठी त्या ठिकाणी क्रॉस इलेस्टिक इक्वल promotion change in equal demand of commodity X divided by proportionate change in price of commodity Y. हा फॉर्म्युला यूज त्या ठिकाणी करून काढले ते. The law of demand states that the quality demand is inversely related to price keeping other things considered. This can be explained using law of determining marginally utility, which implies that with an increase in the consumption of any commodity, total utility derived from that commodity goes on increasing but at diminishing rate. From individual demand curve, we can get market demand curve, which is a horizontal simulations of the individual demand curve. In order to understand the responsiveness of the qualitative demands of price, one can use the concept of price elasticity of demand that is equal to percentage change in the quality demand due to the percentage change in price. Similar income elasticity of demand is calculated as a percentage change in quality demanded due to percentage change in consumer. Okay, in this chapter, main point is market demand curve, Manpon effects, son of effects, Vellum effects, prices, the list of demand, income elastic of demand, and cross price elastic of demand. It's important points. Okay, next chapter. Next chapter is supply analysis. Supply analysis. Supply means नेक्स्ट याच्यामध्ये आपण सप्लायज मीन्स हे पाहिलं होतं. तर सप्लाय म्हणजे त्या ठिकाणी जेव्हा डिमांड असते पीपलची तेव्हा आपण ती प्रोव्हाइड करतो, त्याला काय म्हटलं जातं, सप्लाय असं म्हणतात. म्हणजे एखाद्या सप्लाय इज डिफाईन ॲज द टोटली क्वालिटी of a commodity that a seller is able and willing to seller at a certain price. Okay. Supply is defined as the total quality of commodity that a seller is able to willing to sell at certain price. So in this chapter, main objective. In this chapter, main objective to study the concept of price is the ethics of supply, to understand the movement along the shift of the supply curve. Third, to learn about various factors influencing supply apart from price. Price elastics of supply means price elastics of supply measures the responsiveness of quality supply to a change in price. It is necessary for a firm to know how quickly and effectively it can respond to changing market conditions, especially to price change. The following equation is used to calculate PS. PS means percentage uh, price elastics of supply equal percentage change in quality supply oblique percentage change in price. Okay. तर ह्या फॉर्म्युल्यानुसार त्या ठिकाणी प्राइस इलेस्टिक सप्लाय जे आहे ते त्या ठिकाणी चालतात त्याचे हे जे डायग्राम दिल्यात ज्या फिगर्स आहेत त्याच्या थ्रू त्या ठिकाणी आपल्याला हे करतात की चेंज इन डिमांड ऑफ the price more than the quality supply. Change in demand can be met with the smaller change in price. Okay. Next, change in the supply curve. जे आहे the moment along the supply curve or moment the supply curve is a change in supply as a result of the change in price. Figure 4.2, x-axis is supply and y-axis is price. For supply 50, price 5%. His supply curve is great increase. Shifts in the supply curves, a shift or change curve in a change supply for a reason other than a change in price. Figure 4.2 supply curves. S indicates the original supply and when there is any change in other factors exhibit price, like change in the price or availability of raw material, supply of the commodity will change at every price level. This results in shift in the supply curve left right. Such a shift to right or left in the supply curve indicates that at each of the possible price shown suppliers are now willing to offer larger and smaller quantities and at each of the possible quantity show supplies are ready to accept higher or lower price. This figure, quality supply and price is show that factors causing the shifting in supply curve, production technology. First point, production technology. If there is a technological advancement in the production of goods, Sorry. Factors causing the shift in supply curve. First point is production technology. If there is a technological advancement in the production of a good, production efficiency increase, the supply and supply curve shifts to the rights. Technology is usually perfects you as a variable that would cause in right world shifts in the supply curve due to any ability to increase supply at lower prices. Second, cost of factors of production in generally increase the price of raw materials or other factors that production of factors a production will lead to a decrease in supply at each price point, shifting curve to the left as the price of the factors of productions rise and supply falls. On the other hand, a decrease in the price of inputs will lead to an increase in supply at each price point, shifting the curves to the right. Numbers of firms in the market the market supply curve in the horizontal simulations of the individual supply curves. As more firms enter the industry, the market supply curve will shift out, driving drawn price. When a market becomes studded, companies would leave the market, thus decreasing supply of product. This would case causes the supply curve to shift leftward. For the price the related goods, many times companies have the ability to use existing methodology or technology to produce other related items to provide a similar services. A firm is from making leather shoes may also start making leather furniture or leather covers for mobile phones similar. A call center that provides service for computer support could be trained to take calls for other products such as a printer to provide a support if a consumer needs increased support in computers. People supporting printers can be uh, to assistant. This would shifting the supply curve to the left for the printer support. Since that supply will be decreased. Second, government policy is main point of supply. Government investment can have a significant effect on supply. Government intervention can take many forms, including environmental and health regulations, labor and wage laws, taxes, electrical and natural gas rates, any zoning and land use regulations, etc. Governments can influence market supply and shift the curve to the right or left depending upon their actions. International treaties such as general agreements on trade and traffic that remove trade restrictions makes more items available for trade in a country. This is right for shifts in the supply curve as increase in trade would lead to rise in the supply. If a government becomes protective, that is realistic the trade by imposing tariffs or importers. The supply decrease and the curve shifts leftwards. Okay. This discussion in the sections of supply sides of the market is incomplete. As the mentioned earlier, this unit a link between the previous lie and the unit to follow. It has already mentioned that protection technology, cost analysis, and interactions between the firms determine the overall market supply of the commodity. These following units are focusing on these issues. Supply is the demand as the total quality of a commodity that a seller is able and willing to sell at certain price. The producers are willing intent to offer more production for a sale in the market at higher price of increasing the production. The law of supply says that there is a direct relationship between price and quality in the market. The supply of produce increase with increase in its price and decrease with decrease in its price. Other things remaining constant. Price elasticity of supply measures of responsiveness of quality supply to a change in price. It's necessary for a firm to know how quickly and effectively it can respond to change market condition, especially to price change. Okay. Third, and when the moment along the supply curve is change in price supply as a result of the change in price. A shift in a supply curve is a change in supply for a reason other than a change in price. The shift can be due to the change production technology, cost of factors of productions, number of firms in the market, price of the related goods, government policy of future expansion. Okay. It comes the price elastic of supply, measures of the responsiveness of quality supply to a change in price. Perfectly inelastic supply curves. When supply is perfectly elastic, PES means price elastic supply is equal to zero. The supply curve in vertical. Perfect elastic supply means when a producer can supply an unlimited quantity at a given price or higher, P is infinite and the supply curve is horizontal. Moments along the supply curves means a change of supply is a result of the change in price. Shift in a supply curve is a change in supply for a region other than change in price. Okay, in this topic, main question is how is the price elastic of supply calculated? Explain what is measure. Second, explain in detail various factors that increase price elastics of supply. Okay, next fifth chapter I will start economics of production. In this chapter, very important in supply and demand. Economics of productions means production with one variable, production with two variable returns to scale. Uh, in this chapter, main objective to explain the basic concept related to production theory. To the study production with one variable. Mhm. Second objective is to study production with one variable factors of production and law of diminishing marginal product to learn returns to scale. तर याच्यात आपल्याला सम बेसिक कन्सेप्ट रिलेटेड ज्या काही प्रोडक्शन थेरी ज्या आहे त्या आपल्या स्टडी करायच्या आहेत. The present unit will focus the supply side of the market, explain the discussions making process of the production of the goods and service. A firm needs to decide about the optimal combinations of different factors of production to produce a level of output. Moreover, it also requires information about the relative combinations in face of the changing demand conditions. For instance, a company like Maruti Suzuki, while establish a new plant, needs to decide the number of assembly line machines that should should be installing along with the number of laborers to be employed. Interesting, this is decisions requires data or demand forecast that has been discussed in the previous chapter. The analysis of production for a firm and its decisions making process in alongs to that of a consumer is called that a consumer first use utility functions for identify the testers and preference and derive the infiniteness curve, then a budget line that represent that represent the price of the different goods and incomes of the consumer is used to decide about the optimal combinations of the goods to purchase, such as utility is the maximum. Similar product user of production functions that helps you the different combination of inputs that can produce a given level of output. Okay. स्टॉप नेक्स्ट लेक्चरला आपण बेसिक कन्सेप्ट ज्या आहेत फॅक्टर्स ऑफ प्रोडक्शन ते आपण अभ्यासूया. ओके, थँक्यू व्हेरी मच.